So what we're seeing as we head in here on the left-hand side, if you remember, that was kind of our brick mural of the forest that's going to be created out of using some brick textures on the exterior. On the right-hand side here is going to be the administration area and some classrooms, and then straight ahead is the entry. And off to our left-hand side is where the parking area, and just behind us was actually going to be a kind of student memorial area that hasn't fully been designed yet, but it'll be located within this plaza space. And so then we'll have a kind of glass roof covering, so you can have some outdoor covered space outside for waiting. And we're going to turn and take a peek at that, as well as kind of a bench built into that wall. And then we'll be heading into the building, and just like Pierce College, kind of all the entries have a secure vestibule, which you're used to seeing at your other schools. As we turn here and look to our right, you're going to be able to see this is where you would enter into that main administration area or head straight into the school. On our left-hand side is the theater, and we're going to take a peek in there in a minute, but you'll start to see that we have these large signs here that you'll see in a few different spots. We're starting to work with the group to figure out the kind of signage and wayfinding and graphics that will be a part of the school, and I think make it a really intuitive place to navigate. On the left-hand side is a placeholder for a large kind of custom vinyl graphic wall. So we haven't figured out what that design is yet, but we're getting there. And just on the right-hand side, we're going to take another look at it in just a minute here, was a good big screen TV, which is intended to be the space for the class photos. So we're going to swing around, and there on the left-hand side, you can see, I'll pause here for a second. You can see here that there will be a digital screen, so we can digitize all those class photos. And so we can see those, and you can again now see the main office on the left-hand side. And we're now in the two-story space that we often call it the triangle, because it's shaped like a triangle, and we're creative people, so we come up with creative names for things. But this is basically the connector that takes you all through the school and terminates in the kind of commons cafeteria at the end. And here we are now taking a peek into the Performing Arts Center. And so what we're going to show you is just a couple still images of the Performing Arts Center, and I'll orient you here. So we just came in one of the sound and light vestibules and then entered into the cross aisle. You can see on the left-hand side, there's seats going up. So there's secondary entries up at the top of these seats as well. So you could actually be up on the second floor and just enter the theater from there, or you can enter from the first floor as we just did. The general idea with the space is, of course, you have your stage, and you can see your singer on the right-hand side here, and the wood up at the top, those are acoustic reflectors, and there's some lighting balconies up there. So the theater is designed not just to come and see a show, but it's also designed so that students can actually learn about theater craft. So up here, there are lighting balconies as well as on the sides. And so the intent is that this is really not just a place to see theater or hear a music performance, but it's a place where you learn theater craft as well. And so this has been really thoughtfully designed so that the acoustics are really balanced for creating really great musical performances, because we know you have a really strong music program at Bethel High School. And you can start to see here, this drawing here is a kind of rough rendition of what will eventually be, but we have some really kind of textured, kind of dark gray wall paneling that creates a really nice effect with the lighting that we're going to have kind of in these slots. So it'll be a very dramatic kind of space, but using very simple, timeless colors and materials of just the wood and the dark colors, and then as you can see, kind of the red seats. And there will be about seating for about 500 people in the theater.
I'll have to call you back.
563 or something like that. So it's gotten higher.
There you go. Great. So we're now walking into the art room, and we're going to just kind of walk through the door into a courtyard space that the various art rooms all have access to, as well as some of the special ed programs. Some of these doors are kind of very accessible for them as well. So this space is intended as a working outdoor space. So we're going to have working tables outside that the various classrooms can use, as well as some the kind of lawn area you saw there is not intended as regular lawn. It's intended as a synthetic turf, so that it's really low maintenance, but it's also super easy for kids to use all year long. Um, and now we're heading back into this uh, main circular space that connects kind of the entire school. You'll notice kind of, I think we showed you last time, but on the right-hand side, there's a wood paneled wall that really connects you throughout this entire space. So it's always going to be on your right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you start to see some of the shops and engineering labs. And again, we have big windows that connect you to this space, because one of the goals is that throughout the day, students are here, they're really seeing the amazing things happening inside these spaces, whether it's the sculpture room on your right or the engineering lab on your left. And then you can see here, there's an outdoor space here. So students in the engineering lab can just come outside their classroom and be working on projects out here as well. And then you'll see that we have integrated some lockers into the wood walls here, and we have some lockers down some of the academic hallways as well. We're now entering the very first portion of the Commons cafeteria. So we're taking a look on the right here, which is the courtyard in between the academic wings, and you can see up above the second floor that connects those, so you don't have to go outside or anything on the second floor. You can just walk from one wing to the next. And then as we come into this space, you'll see that we have kind of a built-in bench around the perimeter. And then you'll see up here on the up above is a TV screen, so that you could be using this space for teaching and learning, or you can be using it to display content during lunch. There's a wide variety of options. And the dark black tile that you see here around the cafe space is that kiosk that Cheryl mentioned. The idea is to have kind of a dark color that just sort of grounds you in the space, but then inside have a really nice, vibrant color that is very food friendly. So that's kind of the yellowish colored tiles inside. Now you're moving into the larger portion of the Commons cafeteria. And this space here, we're going to come back to it in a minute, but you start to get a sense of how it connects. You can imagine yourself, we're going to walk down into the academic hallway here in a minute. On the right-hand side is the student store. So the student store opens up to the Commons cafeteria and the main walkway.
And these doors right here are at every major intersection and serve as security doors, as well as sometimes fire separation doors, but definitely security for that common zone.
As we start to move into the academic areas, you'll see this kind of line in the hallway. What that's representing is a MDF wood paneling that protects the base of the walls. And then up above is a wall covering that you can tack, so students can be displaying projects, and teachers can, put up display throughout the hallway space. You'll notice a kind of bluish gray color on this wall here. You're going to see that in a few different spots where we have open, flexible learning spaces outside the classrooms, and they're identified by kind of that blue color, just to give a little bit of life to that space, a very subtle color. As we're going up the stairs, you'll see this kind of graphic on the wall. This is again a placeholder, but the idea is that each stairway through the school is going to have a different kind of graphic on that wall that will again sort of signify, hey, I'm moving through a different kind of space. and then celebrate each of those stairs slightly differently. We're now on the bridge that connects the two academic wings. So we're going to now take a peek into one of them. And you can start to get a sense of how the building flows, where at many of the corners, we've kind of opened up that corner to create these flexible spaces outside the classroom. And that does a couple things. It one really just helps you feel like the space is bigger than it really is because you've eroded the corner a bit. And two, it really works as a nice functional space for students. And this one here, I think we talked about again, but this is a good view of some of the small group rooms. So we have a variety of small group rooms similar to this throughout the core academic area so that teachers and students can gather in a variety of different size spaces. The other thing you'll notice that we're walking on this concrete floor. So we're going to do our best to get the contractor to build a concrete floor that looks as good as this one. But the idea is that just creating a really low maintenance but high quality looking floor. As we continue in the academic area here, you'll also notice, similar to the Pierce College area, there's a lot of windows from the classrooms into these open spaces. And that's, again, to really make sure that these spaces are easily supervisable and that teachers can feel very comfortable having some of their students in the classroom and some out in this space, because that allows students and teachers to have more options for what makes sense for their teaching and learning on any given day. So we're walking into the other classroom wing, and you can again start to see kind of a similar feeling around the corner where there's a variety of both small group rooms and open flex spaces that then lead you into classrooms. And you can see a lot of these windows from those classroom spaces. For example, right here on the right-hand side, you can imagine if you were a teacher in this classroom here at the corner, big windows, if you had some of your students out here, it could be very comfortable and a good situation. Again, you'll notice this black panel next to each classroom door. This is a kind of textured black panel. We haven't completed the design yet, but the idea is that that'll be a signifier of these classrooms, and that'll be sort of the signage for that classroom will be incorporated into that. So it'll all be a kind of integrated piece throughout. We're getting a little peek down into that courtyard that we walked into earlier. But we're going to head back into the main connector space now. Again, you can see another classroom on your right-hand side. So the goal is to really try to keep everything feeling as open and airy as possible. And then as we head towards that, you'll see on the right-hand side is a restroom area. And there's a few of those throughout the school, of course. And now we're up on the second floor of that connector space. And you can see that the connector has a very structural language. So you can see the columns and beams kind of guiding you through the space. On the left-hand side, I'm just going to back us up just 10 seconds here. This here is the counseling area up on the second floor. And then just up here where that orange sign is the career center. So the idea is that second floor really is rich and filled with student support areas. And so we wanted to make sure that those are really highly accessible and something that students can really be attracted to, and not just go there because they have to, but because they're attracted to go there. Here you can imagine looking out those windows, and now we're looking again back to the counseling area and towards the front entry. Doing a 360 here, so hold tight. And then we're going to be walking now past the Career Center and towards the library and the other side of the other half of the cafeteria commons. Again, just like the other classrooms, you can see big windows on the left-hand side into the Career Center, so that these spaces are, again, really a draw for students. Now you can look down into the Commons cafeteria, and the goal is to have a variety of different options for students in terms of how they're sitting down there. And then on the right-hand side, now we're looking into one of kind of small group conference areas that is inside the library. And we're going to try not to knock that guy over, but on the as you see here, the library, we have a very large opening into the library to be able to make this library very accessible. As we walk into it, one of the things we've done, because there will be a little more acoustical connection between the cafeteria and the library, through these glass panels here is a classroom area that is part of the library. So if you needed a little bit quieter space, or a class was doing something in the library, they could use this space. So the goal is to be able to make the library function both as a little more of a called a modern library that's more open and accessible, and not as much shushing going on, but then also give you the opportunity to have those spaces where you really do need more quiet concentration space within the library. I don't know if any of you ever saw the Nancy Pearl Shushing Library action figure, but it's pretty cool. I think that would be kind of a high point of my life if someone made a architect action figure after me, but I don't think I'm going to get to the Nancy Pearl level. So all these windows here looking out, you're going to have the opportunity for really fantastic views of the mountain from there. You can see it on this gray wall at the end. That is a very large big screen TV. So and you can see here that that portion of the space, and there's our mountain. Look at that. You can see that at that end of the space, the intention is that it's raised up. You can see some steps there, so that it becomes a little bit of a stage. So if you're having evening or weekend or community events where you want to use this as a very large kind of banquet hall, this will work really well for that, where you can have a raised area, a really large screen at this side, and then there's another large screen behind us as well, so that people can be sitting in this space and have good access to your digital technology and your presentation. Now we're heading a lot closer to the student entry, and one of those spaces here is going to be the gymnasium, and we're going to take a peek inside here. So you can see here that we have bleachers on two sides, as well as a set of bleachers straight in front of us. So the idea is, if you have a large assembly or you're in the state playoffs, you can open up those bleachers, and then they extend into the auxiliary gym, and you can expand your seating capability here. And so, but right behind those bleachers is the auxiliary gymnasium. So you have good accessibility to either space, and it's a nice flexible approach to increasing your seating capacity. And straight in front of us, there is a motorized projection screen that comes down. So you'll end up having a screen on both sides of you for assemblies as well as for games, so that this space can serve those kind of presentation needs as well. And then you can see here we have the kind of some placeholders here for athletic sporting team banners. We're going to head back into the this connector space, and we're going to turn right and start. Now we're getting pretty close to the we're calling the student entry, and what will be a frequently used entry for events. On the left-hand side is the attendance area and the health area. And we're going to take a peek just to the right here. And when we do that, you'll see that it leads us down into what we're calling the athletic hallway. And also just past this stairway is the JROTC room as well. So there, that's very close to the student entry.
And
And
that
now
showed the
we're
resource officer check-in as well.
perfect. And now we're back outside. We're walking now towards the student entry parking lot, and we're going to turn around and take a peek back at our building. And on the left-hand side here is really an additional plaza space that's designed for students to be able to hang out. There's a lot of benches and seat walls within this space so that students can gather and hang out before and after school, as well as on the weekends.